Hello and welcome back to my end of year recap. Now we're going to go over my 20 best of 2025. So these are in no particular order, the best of for me 2025. So at the top of my stack here, I see we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. And do I need to say more? I mean, Ali Hazelwood has pretty much been like topping like all of contemporary romance. And I guess this is technically my first introduction into like college sports romance. I've never really read anything like that. I have read a sports romance which was Cleat Cute, which I love. It was a sapphic soccer romance. That was technically my first sports romance I've read, but this is technically a college sports romance, which this is not my genre. So I think there's a distinction between the two. Not sure. Anyway, I really like this. Much like in her This Not in Love book, she gets a little bit darker, a little bit dips her toes a little bit in BDSM and in power dynamics. Very well written. I really loved it. There's literally a quote in here that made me cry, and I actually brought up in therapy. I loved this book a lot. It was a little bit painful. Yeah, I really love this. And also, that's not to say that I love all the hell blah blah. I swear, I was listening to myself. I sound like I'm drunk. I swear, I haven't drank any alcohol today. I blame me being a little bit sick. But I love most of Ali Hazelwood's. I love all of her like feminist ones. I read Checkmate, hated it, especially since I am from Jersey. Patterson's not that far away. My good friend actually works, I don't know if he works in Patterson, but he works in Passaic County School District, which Patterson's part of. Like, my best friend's, not my best friend, my goodness. My husband's really good friend's husband is from Patterson, and I'm just like, it very annoyed me, some things. And I read Bride. Shifter paranormal romance is not really my thing. It was good. I didn't hate it, but it's not my thing, so I'm not continuing series because it's not going to bring me joy, and I'm not going to do that just to be reading all of her work. But this, however, I did. Oh, and also her novellas. I read the first one and I hated it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just stick to her full lengths, and I love this one. Also, it was just very weird because I had when this was being advertised, I don't know why I thought it was a mermaid romance. No clue. I colored me very shocked when I read this, and I'm like, where's the mermaids? So we got like Olympic divers. Yeah, they're divers, not just swimmers, or at least she's a diver. I don't remember if he's a swimmer or diver. Anyway, loved it. Wonderful. Ooh, my next one is Chamanes Eléctricos en la Fiesta del Sol by a fellow Ecuadorian, although she's just Ecuadorian, not Ecuadorian American, Monica Ojeda. She's actually from Guayaquil, which is on the coast. My family is from La Sierra, or the highlands, from the mountains. It actually takes place on Chimborazo, which is my mother's province, because Chimborazo is the tallest mountain in the Andes, and technically because of equatorial bulge, is actually taller than Mount Everest because it kind of sticks out further because it's on the equator. And it's like 20,000 feet or something like that. It doesn't like something like that'd be really ridiculous. I love this book. Somebody described this as being Andean, as in the Andes, Andean Gothic, and I totally agree. I think it's on I actually remember the page is like 35 or 30, no, yeah, 35. Yeah, 34, 35, which you can skip ahead if you want to hear it. But era el baile el que las exorcizaba. Fui al concierto y quedito me quedé mirando el pogo, which is how I found out that the slang for like moshing, like in a mosh pit, is pogo in Spanish. Desde fuera. Un baile con riesgo es ese. Uno que se atreve a ser feo. Sudas y sangras, avientas puños y patadas. Saltas sobre los que saltan, chocas, pero con respeto. Le da la mano al que se cae, los levantas y los devuelve a la marea. El cuerpo se entrega a vivito a la colisión. Saldrás dañado, solo que no adrede. Nadie poguea para dañar. Nadie en el pogo es cruel. Yo le dije a la Adriana, oh, that's another thing about Ecuadorian Spanish is we often put la or el in front of the names, which in other countries, it's very disrespectful. You don't say la cristal. That's, you're like, oh, you have no respect. But for Ecuadorians, we, la cristal. That's how you say. La Adriana que se anduviera con cuidado porque se formaban torbellinos frente a la tarima. Cuerpos salían disparados y volvieron a meterse en el tumulto. 2 o 3 veces me quedé viendo pelos, brazos y piernas en una bola gorda. La bola se hinchaba, se achicaba, se hinchaba de nuevo. Oías gritos de purita euforia, gritos de purita emoción. Muchos creen que es salvaje. Si me preguntan, yo digo que cualquier cosa que nace en este mundo nace con violencia. A mí los pogos me hacen pensar en los asteroides que chocan con la luna, en los meteoritos, en el sol que tiembla como un bombo. Yo miraba el volcán y me acordaba de los volcanes de Marte. Así en la tierra como en el cielo, dicen. Lo mismo digo yo del pogo, así en la tierra como en el cielo. Oh yeah, and it takes place, technically that mountain is actually a dormant, not dormant, what's after dormant when it's like definitely never gonna, it's not gonna wake up? Volcano, Chimborazo. And it takes place over, so there's this Incan or just indigenous, because they're not Incans. I can go into a whole spiel. I am not indigenous. I do have indigenous blood in me. I don't feel like I can claim it because I was not raised in it, but I'm trying to strive to learn more. And this they have a festival called Inti Ramen, which oh my goodness, I forgot. But it takes place basically during the solstice, and they have one that just passed, which was Kupa Kraima. I think, I can't remember. I need to remember these. I also want to learn Quechua. And so this was basically, you know, if I were to translate it, it's electric shamans in the Festival of the Sun, because Inti Ramen is about celebrating the sun god. And this was a music festival, and if you love music festivals, this is a really good encapsulation. Also, I don't know if the author has daddy issues, but like the other book I read from her, which was in English, delved a lot about with daddy issues, and this one also has that, and like also violence against women, because there's a lot of that, unfortunately. Another thing that I thought was really interesting, and I had my finger in there and I moved it, was something that really bothers me is when I was a child, and I'm going really into this, I'm sorry. When I was a child, I always hated that, like in Spanish, since it is a gendered language, you can have 50 women, and as soon as one guy goes in, you must use the male nouns, male collective nouns. And I hated that. I always hated that. And now I know everyone's doing, like, you know, Latinx. I like the idea behind it, but it doesn't work with the language. It does not. And when I was in Mexico City, I went to a few museums, and they actually did use Latinx. And I was like, okay, so, you know, people who are just like, people didn't even use it. A museum in Mexico City is using it. However, what I have seen, at least in South America, is people using E instead of A or O. And one of the characters in this book, because it is a multi-point of view, and one of the characters, oh, and there's also a pun in here that's an English-Spanish pun, which I thought was really funny. It's about nightmare. And one of the characters is pregnant, actually, and she doesn't know if she's having a boy or a girl, so literally ends everything with E, which I thought, it's like hije, because she doesn't know if it's an hijo or hija. Ele, because I don't know if it's un él or un ella. And I just thought that was really cool that this Ecuadorian author in Ecuador was doing this. And you're wondering, this is a book in Spanish. I may not be able to read this. Well, my friends, March. This is getting translated in March. You bet I'm buying this. I'm going to try to do like a side-by-side read, because there's also some Quechua in here. Because in Ecuadorian Spanish, we do use some Quechua, like ñaño, ñaña, which means brother, sister. Wawa, wawita, which is like the baby, an infant. Not to be confused with Caribbean Spanish, which is because when their buses were introduced there, they had a big W there, so they called it wawa. I don't know. but for us, it means a baby, a child. We have more words. I can't remember them at the top of my head, but I know we definitely have more Quechua words in our Spanish. There's actually one that I'm like, wait, that's Quechua. I always use that word. But yeah, I absolutely love this book. I'm not gonna lie, the ending, I don't know if it was because my Spanish isn't that great, so something was lost to me. The ending didn't feel as fulfilling, but the rest of it was just really great. Oh, she also talks a lot about, and this is something that I'm very interested in, is, you know, because like I said, like I don't claim to be Indigenous, not because I feel shame of Indigenousness, which is something that like I see in my family. But I don't claim because I didn't go through those struggles, so I don't want to claim the benefits, but I want to know more because obviously I do have some Indigenous in me. And there's always this struggle, like things that were happening in Peru, which I know is not Ecuador, but when I was there was this very big clash, and I was able to see, I'm like, this is literally like the Black Lives Matter movement here. And it was just very obvious the oppression, and the oppression was by people who are part Indigenous, but because they let go of it and they lost it and they don't want to claim it, they can think themselves better. And I am not going to say more, but I have so many examples from even within my own family that I'm just like, yikes. And she talks about this too, which I really loved. And I think she's also one who has Indigenous background, but she's not Indigenous, which does also give to the matter, like, should she be one speaking on it? But I don't know. I really enjoy this. I really like, and she does speak up for Indigenous. Like, I follow her on Instagram, and I just see her, you know, there was a lot of turmoil recently happening in Ecuador where some Indigenous people actually lost their life. It's not like here in the United States, like in a lot of Indigenous people, they still speak their own language. Like, so, like when we're in Ecuador with my friends, there were some Indigenous people and they were talking, and my friend's like, oh, what are they saying? I'm like, I don't know. They're not speaking Spanish. They're speaking their language. And a lot of them, especially the women, the men not as much, you'll see sometimes, but the women especially are dressed in their garb, and every region has a different one. And I wish I wanted to know more. Like, it's like oh, there's so much more to learn. And I totally get it that they were betrayed. I totally understand it. But yeah, this was beautiful. I loved it. If you love music festivals, it was beautifully written. I'm looking forward to the day when I can get the translator of that beautiful thing and I will read it out loud, because I can translate it, but my Spanish, there's also a lot of highlighted words here because I didn't know what the words were, because my Spanish is like that of like a 5th grader, probably even less, to be honest. I joke, I'm like, I have a kindergarten Spanish. It's probably more than that, but not by much. So there's a lot of new words for me here. Like I wish I could tell you that joke with the pun with the nightmare, but I don't. It involved the word mare, not horse, which is caballo, but literally female horse, mare, and I can't remember. And so I'm sure if I read it I would remember it, but I can't. It's not coming back to me. Like one of the words in here I didn't underline. I'm like, why didn't I'm like, oh wait, that means stage. That's why. Like I had to read it like 20 times. I'm like, oh, that means stage. Now if you ask me what it is, I don't know. I literally just read it to you. Anyway, I feel like I've been going on for this forever. I'm so sorry, but please, it comes out in March. If you like literary fiction, because it's very much literary fiction, it does feel a little bit maybe paranormally. Yeah, it is a little paranormal because we are also dealing with spirits. We're also dealing with ritual, but it's more paranormal, as someone else coined it, Andean Gothic, which was beautiful because it took place in the Paramo. Yeah, I love this book, and I look forward for it coming out in English in March, and I hope you do too. Okay, moving on. Moving on, we have Gifted Talented by Olivia Blake. This is my Fairy Loot edition, which I also have the Owl Crate edition, and that one's signed, which is why I'm like, I really love this book, so I'm gonna keep it, even though I really don't like the cover and I hated the edges. Like, I get why. I really love the original, and I need to change this because the original color change, which is not as pretty somehow, is here, and like that is so nice and it makes so much sense. I have never I've never watched Succession, but I have heard so much of it. Like one of the money podcasts I listen to like constantly talks about it, so like I get the gist, and I get like its allusions to the real world. And yeah, this is basically like, I just said the thing, I'm sorry, I'm like such bad memory. It's a perimenopause, I don't know. Scandal, why is Scandal coming to me? Oh, but that one I just said, yes, it's very much like that. Even though I haven't watched it. This book is all vibes, no plot. I mean, there is a plot, but it's all vibes. It's a very much a character study. It's very like, remember how I said I like to poke holes and then just break it apart? This has so many holes, but I don't care. I am not questioning it. Where's my pen? What is a pen? I don't know. Because it's so well written. But again, Olivia Blake is very much a pretentious writer. She writes very pretentiously, and I eat that up. I love me a pretentious writer. And I love this. Succession, that was the one. Jeez, I couldn't remember. But I love this book very much. It was really great, even though some things didn't make sense. There's also polyrup in here, by the way, and it wasn't just a thruple, which is the only polyrup I read. I mean, there was a thruple, there is a thruple, but it's not just that. Like, yeah. Anyway, so it was very interesting to read. And it was so good. It was so good. Also, like, there's a twist that I'm not even gonna say, because if I say it, it's gonna like put you on edge if you read it. But it was just like, I was like, it was so good. And there's also like some drawing, like, yeah, there's some illustrations in here. It was just, I love this book. It's definitely one of my top reads of the year, if you can't tell by my gushing. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which, what was the other one? I'm sorry, I can't remember the names of these. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I loved that book. So when I was at the bookstore and I saw this, I was like, yes, thank you. I was like, I didn't even know this book came out. It was not on my radar at all. I love this. It's like a nice warm hug. She does write, because I believe the author is Indian British. She does write about immigrants' experience, first generation. It can get very heavy at points, but there was like a solidarity in here, and it just, like, I literally cried at some points. It was beautiful. I loved it. The characters were absolutely ridiculous in the most absolutely wonderful way. It really was a warm hug, and it was beautiful. And I read this in the summer, not during spooky season. I kind of wish I read it during spooky season, but I think things were just happening that I needed a comfort, and this was a wonderful comfort. I loved it. And because I remember now, a book I don't own, I borrowed it from the library actually, and I am going to buy it eventually, but I haven't bought it, so I'm going to put it right here, was The Keeper of Magical Things by Julie Leong, who is the author of Tell Her Small Fortunes. And I love Tell Her Small Fortunes. Again, I feel like the ending of that book was a little bit too wrapped up and with a bow, but I just felt so good with it that I was able to be like, it's fine. And this one didn't quite have that saccharine, is that how you pronounce it? It wasn't like that super sweet ending. It was still a very sweet ending, but it just, I loved it. It was really beautiful. Remember how in my other book I was talking about, another cat one? This literally even like delves into like the universal cat distribution system, and like, hold on, I need to observe this. It was just really funny. Like, I was just dying, I tell you. So that one, I realized I haven't really been telling you what some of these books are. Well, Gifted and Talented, I'm not even gonna bother. It's its own wild ride. This one we have the main character who, in the world, so I don't think it's related at all to the other one, like not even the same world, because in this world we do have an organization that's in charge of witchcraft, of magic, and this girl, turns out she was like, has a lot of it, and because she didn't come from, because she wasn't pure white, and because pure British, I should say, and because she like her parents aren't magical, so it's only like really the magical elite families that have their children go through school. Everyone else kind of just homeschools it. So she was homeschooling it until one day they have to come and like, check to make sure everything's happening, and they're like, oh my god, she's probably the most powerful witch we have. So she came in to do proper training, but the guy who's in charge was threatened by her. Anyway, fast forward to this is not a spoiler, it's literally in the synopsis, and it's like in the first few pages. Her parents were pieces of shit, and they just abandoned her to her aunt, who came from India to come raise her. And they own an inn, and she basically, and this is what alerted them that, like, she's so powerful. She basically weaved the after some bad experiences with guests, she weaved the inn to be that only if you need it, it'll be there, so only good people come. And she just like held it together with all her magic. And then her aunt, who's basically her mother, or great aunt, who's basically her mother, just dies. And I'll give it, that's kind of weak. It's like, why she just dropped that? That's like so random. And there's this mischievous little fox who's like, hey, I have the scroll, you gonna revive her? And so she does, but doesn't realize that she gave up almost all her magic, and she's almost depleted, and it never came back. And basically, you know, somebody else is there who can help her find her magic back, even though she has to go. Oh, actually, this one does end with a little bit too sweet of an ending, but it's fine. I'm good. I accept it. But yeah, it's very cute. And then the one I just was talking about, who was I just talking about? I guess that's it. Okay, so the next one is Death of the Author. Oh, this is the first Starbright. When I told a friend to go read it, and they're like, oh yeah, I read Binti, and I'm like, Binti, I don't remember what happened in Binti, but I remember I was also just like, wow, that's a book. So no wonder. Very big Nigerian presence, obviously very big disability rep, which is really cool. And I really just love, because the author is, I think she's Nigerian American. I might be lying about that. Is she just Nigerian? Yeah, she's Nigerian American. You know, like, there's a great nonfiction book called Africa Is Not a Country, and it talks about like how there's like, I don't know, like 140, no, like, I'm lying, don't take my number, like the way the countries are made make no sense according to how people are there. And so, you know, this one does talk, like, you know, like obviously she knows her culture, and she was able to talk about like the different peoples and really get into it. Anyway, this is Starbright, so it's a sci-fi book. This reads like a sci-fi literary. Does that exist? Is that actually a genre? Je ne sais pas. But this was a sci-fi literary, and to the point where like I'm like, how is this sci-fi? Like, I mean, it's entertaining, but like, where's sci-fi? And then we get to a point, I'm like, oh, this is why it's sci-fi. And then we get to a point where I'm just like, mind blown. This is why it's sci-fi. The ending of this, oh my gosh, if you are like me and you like spoil yourself and you like read the last few pages, don't do it. Do not do it. I am so grateful I did not do it for this, even though I read a few spoilers. You're like, that ending. I didn't do it, and I'm so grateful because the ending paid off. I normally don't understand when people are like, I wish I could read that book for the first time. I get it with this. Holy cow. Oh, I wish I could, like, this, outstanding. I still will say it still leans very literary, even though it is definitely a sci-fi book. Very literary. I'd probably even say speculative fiction, which, please don't ask me to define it. It's very, very fuzzy. I greatly enjoyed this. I ate this up. I am recommending this to so many of my sci-fi friends. You have no idea. Even my husband, even though my husband's not really a reader, but I'm just like, you know, maybe we can get an audiobook. All right, next one is, oh, now I remember. Oh my gosh, because I don't have the book. I am so sorry. The Keeper of Magical Things. That's why I was going to grab it and I didn't, right? The Keeper of Magical Things. So what that book is actually about is, we have, again, oh my goodness, this girl who, like, everyone has different magic, and this girl, she was like hoping to be the hope for her family, because she comes from a poor family, that she goes to become get trained in her magic because her brother wants to be an apprentice for something and he needs the money for it. So she was going to be join the guild, become a mage, send the money so her brother can get educated, lift her family up and out. And turns out that magic she had, it's like a very lame one. It basically, she could talk to inanimate objects, and kind of like, it starts off with like a blanket has a stain, and she like basically was like, hey, you know, like, if you don't get rid of the stain, you're gonna be rags. And the blanket's like, oh crap, okay, get rid of it, and it cleans itself, or like gets rid, like stops holding the stain or something. So basically that's what it is. Something happens, and her and this other mage who has her own history, but she's known as being like an ice queen, have to go to the south of their kingdom and catalog all of these magical relics that, because they're deemed to be not as dangerous, that they can be outside of the castle because the castle has too many and it causes a disturbance. And it's basically her getting to know the town. Oh, and doing this, she'll become a mage. And which is what, and like, and the timeline for her brother being a deadline for her brother being an apprentice is like getting soon. So she's like, okay, yes, I can save my family. And so they go do this, and it's basically her interactions with the townsfolk who, oh, this was like an area that like magic, just there is no magic for some reason, or there is a reason. And her just getting to know these townsfolk who are very wary of them, and then the Ice Queen opening up, and it's a beautiful book. I loved it. It was not quite as a hug as the other one, but it was beautiful. All right. I am so sorry for being like completely out of order. Okay. Juno Dawson, Human Rights. This is book 3 in the trilogy, the Her Royal Majesty Coven, I guess. I really love this book. If you don't know what this series is about, it's basically, we have a group of friends. When they were children, they like formed their own coven. It's very diverse. We have like, because this is from the UK, it takes place in the north of England. We have like some white, we have some Irish, which is its own thing. We have at least one black chick. And they were their own coven with these 2 twins. And then somewhere in between then and the present, there was this big war where there was this warlock who summoned a demon, and they were trying to like end the war, end the world. And some of the like one of the main character's sister kind of defected there. They won the war, or so they thought. Present day, there is a Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which HRMC is an actual British government agency. It just obviously doesn't stand for that. I think it has to deal with, I think it's like their IRS. And so I thought, please fact check me if I'm wrong. So I thought it was just really clever that Juno Dawson repurposed the letters for what she repurposed it for. And so there is a prophecy of the Sully child who is going to end the world, and the leader of this coven, which is supposed to be like the nationwide coven, is Helen, and she finds this child and she thinks it's the Sully child. The child is basically a trans girl, and it gets into it, and the first book especially, someone else said, is basically a giant fuck you to J.K. Rowling, and I 100% agree. And it goes on from there, because they may have won the battle, but they didn't win the war, and this is the war. This is the ending of the war. A lot happens in this trilogy. I 5-starred every book. It's just very action-paced, and I love also the intersectional feminism that is in here, because the women who felt left out, which is mostly the women of color and the queer women, of which we have the leaders of that coven, I forgot what it's called. They formed their own coven in London, basically. And so, and even though they were part of the original friend group, and they are still a friend group, sort of, and it is basically, it's a book about sisterhood, it's a book about friendship, it's a book about what happens when you outgrow your friends, and, you know, it's okay. I love it. It's a hard book, but I love it, and this is my favorite lead edition, and I love this book. All right, next one. Oh, we have some Unhinged. Oh my goodness, this fell, didn't it? I see the line. Okay, we have some Unhinged madness, which is Girl Dinner. It kind of says that in the synopsis, but I don't want to spoil it for y'all. Basically, we have there's the house, which is a sorority, which I was never part of Greek life in college, so I don't know how much of this is. I think the author is Olivia Blake. She's on here twice. Oh, I love her. I will say this is not as pretentious as the writing, so if the pretentious writing throws you off, this is not pretentious. This is definitely celebrating women's rights and their wrongs. Anyway, so we have yeah, so I think she said that she was in a sorority, and so anyway, I don't know. So we have the house, which is like the big sorority, and it's like rush week, I think that's what it's called, right? And we have the main character who's a sophomore, and something happened to her, and that's why she's like, okay, I need fresh, myself. Some reason all the girls at the house, like, they have perfect skin, their periods are perfect, like they don't have, like they have the lightest periods with no cramps, and they go on to do amazing things in the world. They're so successful. They have, like, you know, the perfect kids, the perfect husbands, the perfect careers. Like, I want in. And she's also, and so she goes to join, and she has a twin sister who's like, what is happening? I was suspicious. Who's like, her twin sister is like very like super lefty, like the kind of a little bit annoying sometimes online, chronically online lefty. And so it's interesting to hear them talk. But at the same time, we have this woman who is a mother. She's just had her child and she's coming back to teaching, and she was like on a 10-year track where she was. But then her husband, but then she went on maternity leave, and then her husband got a really big opportunity at this other college. So they packed up and moved, and now she's no longer a 10-year track. She's actually an adjunct with that, and like the only reason why she has this job is because her husband and the college very much lets her know this. And she gets asked, even though she was in a sorority, she wasn't part of the house, but she still gets asked to be their faculty advisor. And so we have the two storylines, and it just goes on from there, and it gets unhinged. It takes some time, but this, like, I'm not a mother, but it goes into motherhood, and it goes into being a woman, and what does it mean to have it all? Which is something I think about as we think about, are we gonna have kids or not? Because we're still very much on the fence. Like, my husband is very much like very easy yes. Me, I'm more hesitant because I'm not at work right now, and I'm currently trying to find work. And what's it mean I just finally get a job and then I get pregnant right away? Like, how is that going to look for me? Which is a horrible thing to say, and I have to say that. I'm not going to stay working. I mean, I'm going to have to stay working because children are expensive. But it's just, you know, I already pick up a lot of the slack, and right now it's because I'm not working. But once I get the job, you know, my husband promises he's going to pick up more of the slack. And that's not to say, like, I have a great husband. He does do a lot, but he also has ADHD and also his work can be very demanding. So I pick it up, and I just feel like I'm not working, I should pick it up. But that's not gonna be the case when I'm working. And then if we have children, if we have a child, because we're not having, if we have children, it's gonna be one. What's that gonna mean? And the mental load that women are burdened with, like, even in the most well-meaning of partners. Yeah, it's a lot. But I love this. I recommend this to quite a few different girlfriends because all right, next up we have The Bewitching by another author I absolutely adore, Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is probably atmospherically closer to Mexican Gothic, but nothing like. So basically we have, oh my goodness, what was this again? I'm trying to remember. I think it's 3 different timelines. And we have this woman who she's Mexican, but she's in the United States. She's a scholarship, getting her master's or her PhD, I don't remember, in like literature, I think. And I think she's getting her PhD. And so it's the summer break, and it goes also into her grandmother. So her grandmother used to tell her stories. Like, I think it actually starts with like, what was it? Back then, when I was a young woman, there were still witches. That's what Nana Alblase is saying when she told Minerva bedtime stories. So it goes into that timeline about a bewitching that happened. And then it also talks about the current timeline, which is Minerva. And she feels like she might be going through a bewitching. There's something's not right. And also, she's trying to figure out, it takes place, I remember, in Maine, in this, or Massachusetts, sorry, Western Massachusetts, because there's like a lot of like, she's trying to do a dissertation on like this horror writer, and the horror writer went to this college, graduated from this college, and so it kind of goes also into the horror writer's timeline and about something mysterious that happened then, and it all ties in somehow. And I don't want to speak more because I don't want to give it away. I just know this was so atmospheric, very atmospheric. Again, I love multi-timeline, multi-point of view books like that. I love that. If you like that, I highly recommend this. This was so good. So, and again, like, Silvia Moreno Garcia, her writing is so atmospheric, and this was it. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this. It was very good. Oh, I just realized this makes sense. I didn't realize that makes sense. I get it. All right, last but not least, because again, like I said, this is not in any order. We have I Live to Serve the Witch, and look how stunning this edition is. Like, I just want to be like, this is one of the best books because of how pretty. Look how pretty that is. Look at how pretty. Oh my god. But this is basically just a very short book. This is my science fiction edition, one of the few science fiction books I read. Look how short this is. And there's like a random graphic novel in here. I'm just like, what? That was random. Basically, it does deal a lot with trauma. So yeah, like just random. Like, okay then. So we have, I think the main character is Celine. Yeah, Celine. She lives to serve her witch. So she knows nothing. She just knows she's always been here. She's always lived in this house. The witch takes care of her. And she takes care of the witch. The witch promised her to teach her magic, but she hasn't yet. It's okay. She will one day. And then one day, a mysterious young woman appears, and Celine starts to question things. We also have a different timeline where we have, I'm not gonna get into it, you know. It's not actually written in the description in the synopsis, so I'll let you get into it. I love this book. It definitely spoke a lot about trauma, generational trauma, getting out of bad situations. This was a very good book. I managed to read this in one sitting. It is a very emotional book, very dark book, but it was great. And all right, that is all. How many did I have? 10. So that's not bad. I had 11 terrible books and 10 amazing books of 2025. Have you read any of these? Let me know. Did you also think they were amazing, or do you disagree with me? Either way, I would love to hear it, so please let me know. Or if you got to the end and you just want to say you're here, then put an emoji of what you think encompasses your best book. But yeah, stay tuned. I have more coming out, but I hope to hear from you soon, and hopefully hear from you soon.